What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Elimination Chamber reactions, results, and review. With me is Jarrell. Say what's up, Jarrell. What's up, Jarrell? And Tom Maffey. Once again, our review panelists are here. First of all, overall reactions. What did you think about this Elimination Chamber? I got some questions and I got things I want to talk about. But overall, not bad. Not bad show. Not great, but not bad. Definitely better than the Rumble.
A lot better than the Rumble. I have questions, but it happened with Lashley. I was just like, what the? I was like,
there was something weird going on there, right?
yeah.
I don't know if that was real or not. It felt weird.
Yeah, it looked. I went back and looked at it, it looks like he hit his head on there.
And that's
That's
what we call that typical Saudi Arabia jinx that happens every time there's a show there. There's always someone gets hurt in some weird way. And if that's the case, then I feel bad for Lashley because, first of all, Brock was overly dominant. But Lashley, apparently they announced that it was a concussion. So hopefully we hope he's okay. We hope it's not a serious situation. We hope, obviously, I think we hope it's part of the show, even though, as you said, it quite possibly wasn't part of the show. So we'll see what's up, man. Jarrell, you're currently on mute, man. You want to unmute yourself there?
Sure. Yes, just as you said, I hope Bobby is okay. That could have been possible of what happened. It could have been in concussion, like you said. I like the women's matches by the most part. I thought they had a lot of highlights, a lot of cool moments, and I like the stipulations of the matches as well. Ronda Rousey, can only do stuff with one arm. Also, you had Naomi doing a great job in the match. Also, the Women's Elimination Chamber match was pretty cool, too. I thought that it had more highlights than the men's match. The Elimination Chamber, well, Brock dominating at the end. I was kind of rolling my eyes at that part. I'm like, come on. Somebody give this man a challenge. Don't have him just win so easily.
Well, he's
typical, right?
I'm like, these are veterans here. So most of them are veterans, All
right, so let's get started with the pre-show, right? Tom, did you get a chance to see the pre-show?
I didn't. I saw the highlights, but I'm like, all right, it's whatever. I didn't really.
That's okay. I did get to see some of the pre-show, and I will say it was a fun pre-show. It was Rey Mysterio versus The Miz with Dominic in his corner, with Rey's corner, and we know how this story worked, right? This story was pretty much, is that your father? Rey, is that your father? And Miz being typical Miz, right? I obviously, for what it's worth, we knew that Miz was going to lose. It was like one of those situations where it's kind of like it's obvious the Miz is going to lose this one, but and it didn't. It had finality into the match, even though it wasn't like a built-in feud or anything like that. It was just a couple of things were said, and then they got a match for Saudi, right? A quick little paycheck that comes along with that, right? Because we got to call it what we call it when we know the Saudi Arabia matches are quick paychecks. But
big paychecks.
Yeah, exactly. So
they get like $250 million per show to do this.
Oh, they be racking money. They make more money off of these shows than they do off of Mania.
Yeah.
So this is as big of a pay cut as a Mania show would be. So
maybe
they're not going anywhere. Yeah, I say more because you throw in the stars for this one too, right? You throw in the big names.
I think they make they probably make their downside guarantee from these shows in one night.
In one night, yeah, exactly. And this particular show is no different. So with this one, we have Rey Mysterio winning the match against The Miz. They had a nice little father-son moment where they both did they did frog splashes, and at the end they got a double 619. So typical match, nothing too thrilling, nothing too exciting, nothing to go crazy over. It was the pre-show match, to say the least, and it was exactly what it was meant to be, a pre-show match to get people hyped up for the show that's to come. Then we have, moving on, we have our first match, which I was shocked that this was the opening match. I was completely like, what just happened here? How are we getting this match first? Roman Reigns versus Goldberg to open the show. Was it because Goldberg had to go home early or something?
Probably wants to get out of there as quickly as possible.
You know what I mean? It just felt that way. I was like, okay.
I wanted to at least see a jackhammer out of this match, and we didn't get that.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed by that too. Let's go ahead and talk about it. What do you guys think overall with the match? Did the match do what it was meant to do? And I think what it was meant to do, my personal opinion, was to make Roman look tough.
Yeah, I think it did what it was meant to do.
Right? And I will admit, Goldberg did get a couple of hits in. He did. And unfortunately, like you said, Gerald, we didn't get the jackhammer. But the jackhammer, I think, is there a possibility Goldberg just can't do the jackhammer anymore?
Maybe not on a guy the size of Reigns.
Yeah.
But I mean, like on, say, an AJ, a Riddle, an Orton.
Mm-hmm.
I think he can still get them up.
Yeah, but Reigns isn't as big as people make him, turn out to be. He ain't like an size of the Undertaker or anything like that. And I would say he's approximately about the same size as an Orton. So Orton may be a little leaner, but that's about it. So it's a little weird that you don't get to see the jackhammer like you once did. But it was a fair match. It wasn't, a 5-star classic. But then again, when you have a match with Goldberg, you normally don't get a 5-star classic. You usually got a squash match. But it's nice to see that it wasn't the squash match that we normally get with a Goldberg match. We actually made Roman look tough. We made Roman the champion that he's meant to be. All right.
Oh, you got that alert too?
Yep, you're getting the snow alert.
Oh boy, let me get my phone because I know it's going to happen to me.
It's going to happen, right? So, overall, I think the match in itself was what it was meant to do. The match was won by Roman utilizing the key and T lock, right? That's the name of the lock, and I'm fine with it. Knocked out Goldberg. Goldberg fell asleep, and then woke up 5 seconds later.
Yeah.
There goes another one. Someone else around here got the alert.
Yeah, I got that a while ago. So, but yeah, no, I agree with you.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we finish this match, and then we immediately go to Elimination Chamber, which I thought was going to be the first match. Overall opinion, guys, what do you think?
I thought it was great. I'm happy to see Alexa back, as long as they keep the winking dolls and teleporting and the ability to make lighting rigs fall and all that stuff out of this. I don't mind the character. I mean, even a little touch with the swing. Everybody looked good in it. Liv looked good. I was actually surprised that Bianca won, but at the same time, I kind of wasn't, because it seems like they're kind of building to that. But I don't know. I've heard, like, the rumor I've heard is with the women's division is that it's going to be next year, Ronda and Becky.
Yes, that's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that they want to put that on hold for now. But what I'm also seeing is that they're giving us the match in Charlotte and Ronda, the match that we were originally supposed to have gotten when Becky was going up in popularity. It was like, no, you guys going to get this match, and we're going to give it to you whether you like it or not. Now is the perfect time to do it because you have more women in the women's division that are worthy of a main event status push. Where I'm with you on it. I'm not surprised Bianca won. Not in the least.
I thought it was
I
gonna be Alexa.
yeah, I wanted my personal feeling was I wanted Rhea. I wanted Rhea to be the one. I like Rhea. She's a tough champion. I wouldn't even have mind if Liv would have won it, but I think Liv was one of those. We're gonna see how you do, and I think in their eyes she didn't turn heads enough for them. I think that's my personal opinion with Liv.
I
But I
think,
think Liv is her time will come very soon. I think.
yeah. I mean, like you said, honestly, like Rhea. I mean, like when she was in the match last year against Asuka, and just her entrance, her game face, Cornette said, even Jim Cornette says she's a star, and he's wondering. I mean, like why is she fooling around with Nikki Ash? She should
Mhm.
be like challenging Becky. I mean, she Bianca, and like I would say Bianca and Becky kind of are the core of that division right now. That I mean, on Raw certainly,
Mhm.
and probably Alexa too. Now that she's back,
Yeah, and I think Alexa's going to probably toy around with some other people. I think Alexa. Um, I don't know where. I don't think we finished the whole. You know, the whole side of Alexa, where the Bray Wyatt side of things. I think that character is not gone yet.
no, it's not going away anytime soon.
Yeah, it's not going away. They see opportunity in that in some way. You know, the Lily doll and all that garbage that comes with it. Because I do find it as hot garbage right now.
Yeah.
Because it's just it's Bray's gimmick that you just took from him, right? So that's how I feel towards that, and I think
Yeah.
it's not fair that it's not fair to her because I think by herself she's a great talent. Nothing taking away from her talent and her ability. So I feel bad that she's in this situation right now that she's kind of stuck in, and unfortunately they don't want to take her out of this situation. Jarrell, what are your thoughts the overall thoughts on this particular match, how it went down?
I thought it was good. It had a good amount of moments in the match. Oh boy.
They just don't want to stop those alerts today,
Oh
do they?
Lord. Okay. I know. All right, we're gonna be slowed in. So I pretty much like the match. I'm glad that they had Dewdrop and Alexa Bliss in there because especially Alexa Bliss, we kind of miss her.
Mhm.
Um, I do wish that Alexa had more of a push. I mean, out of for best of business, I guess it was good for Bianca to win that match.
Mhm.
That didn't surprise me either. But I was going for Alexa because Alexa kind of gets the short end of the stick, and she returned not too long ago, and she's kind of off and on. So it's be great to see her, win more matches and have more, bouts for the championship. They could really take Alexa Bliss and go crazy with it, but I don't think they have as much. As for Nikki Ash, I like the idea that she's kind of like this bad, heel in like a superhero costume. Kind of reminds me of Kick Ass, where
Mhm.
the antagonist is wearing a costume as well. So I
Nikki
like that
Ash?
idea. But for Nikki Ash, I do want to see the Nikki Cross kind of gimmick as well, come back in some. I miss Sanity, to be honest. I like to see.
Sanity was such a they dropped the ball on Sanity
Oh yeah.
from the minute they released them into Smack. I think they came in SmackDown. They never had a shot. The minute they showed up in SmackDown, they never had a shot. First of all, they came without Nikki, which was a huge mistake.
Yeah.
And then when they did come out, they had no sort of push. They were just brought in. Like, okay, you guys come in, let's see what you could do, kind of thing. Like they didn't need to test themselves. They already proven commodities that could have been huge, especially with a mouthpiece like Eric Young, right? Eric Young, people forget how good Eric Young can be. But
He
again, you were saying, Tom?
Well,
Todd, why is it Tom?
couple things about but Eric, no, I mean, like, I think they came out, they did like as I remember Sanity, I remember their theme music, dun, 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 they came out like Repo Man, and just did like those head turns like this, and that was like all they did, and I think actually Eric Young actually did say to Vince, apparently told Vince, you're wasting these guys, you're wasting people. And, just let us do our thing. Why does it have to be what these Hollywood writers do who, sorry, I don't think they were good enough for Hollywood if they're working for WWE.
So are you trying to say the B-list writers?
Yes.
I'm with you. I agree.
They may be good writers, but ultimately, in the end, it's Vince's call, and Vince,
Vince is Vince. That's pretty. We could talk about Vince all day with this conversation, but it's just what it is. So we start the match off. The match starts with Nikki and Liv. They kick off the match. Then Doudrop comes in, followed by Rhea Ripley, which was actually a pretty fun entrance when Rhea comes in. The first person she's going for Nikki, obviously for their little history, and then she eventually eliminates Nikki. Nikki's taken out. Bliss comes in. Morgan then comes and eliminates Doudrop. Doudrop is eliminated. Bliss comes to eliminate Morgan. Then Belair and Ripley. Belair eliminates Ripley. Then she eliminates Bliss. So that's pretty much how it went down. One thing I noticed, I don't know if you guys noticed, obviously with these Saudi shows, the women have to be all covered up, right?
Yeah.
But what I noticed in particular was that they were in the previous shows, they were covered up and they had to wear a t-shirt. They didn't have to do that this time, which I thought was interesting to say the least. Like it allowed their character to be more of like their character instead of their character wearing a t-shirt, which I thought was a nice step in the right direction. And they were allowed to move, right? Because there is some things that get in the way with the way they're dressed. But I think overall the outfits that they wore for this show were definitely better than all the previous shows for all the women that were there. Kudos to that at least. You know what I mean? I don't want to give Saudi that much credit, but kudos for that at least.
Well, I mean, what does it say about you where it's like, oh no, a woman's skin is gonna like make you all, it's gonna destroy you. I don't know.
I know that you're seeing their elbows. Yeah. I've never ever heard of a guy say, "Yo, man, that woman's elbows are so awesome." You know what I mean? Elbows, ooh, hot, hubba.
Forearms.
But I will say this much: I actually did like Doudrop's outfit. That was the best outfit I liked. That was a cool outfit that she had on. So that was a pretty good elimination chamber. Nothing really stood out in that elimination chamber as in, oh, this is going to go in one of these future highlight reels that we're going to talk about years to come, right? So they didn't really have any huge spots on this match in particular, but the person we expected to win won, and I think that was the case throughout the whole card, to be quite honest. I think there was no real true surprises that were done. In fact, I think there was a missed surprise that happened, which I thought was going to happen, but apparently didn't turn out that way. Going to our next match, another match that I didn't really understand its purpose, other than to get more women in the match and then getting two WrestleMania cards into one and make it kind of like a preview match type of thing of what's to come. This was more like a prelude to what we're going to see in WrestleMania. But what I did thought was interesting again was having someone like Sonya Deville in the match in general, because we all know what her past is, right? She's part of the LGBT community, And to be in Saudi Arabia, I'm shocked that she was even present. To be completely honest with you guys,
I'm shocked she wasn't arrested.
She got a run out, right? But overall, another one of those matches that was just there to get us to the next step. That's what this match was. I never understood. I didn't understand why they put them together in that way. But first of all, what do you guys thought about the stipulation in particular?
I just thought it was stupid. I'm like, why? I mean, what's the point of this? I mean, it's just like, all right, it's a tag team match. It felt like a, one of those, like a no way out type match where, they, a no way out match where like you'd have like the tag team of what was going to be the singles matches at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, they've been building, obviously, Naomi and Sonya for a while. But don't forget, Sonya can take care of herself. She was an MMA.
Yeah, I remember. I remember from watching Tough Enough. She was a Tough Enough member. I remember that.
Yeah.
So definitely.
Mandy.
Her and Mandy were really close. They became a tag team for a while.
I got a story about Mandy. She used to be the neighbor of my best friend's old girlfriend.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, up in Yorktown. So,
because that's where she's from, right? She's up there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she's from Yorktown. So, but yeah, I mean, like, I think with, I've always been impressed by Sonya. I think we're finally going to start getting an actual run with her.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they brought her back as the man, like they brought her back as the GM, which she's been good at. Just to, I mean, I don't know if maybe that was just to ease her back into work after the whole stalker thing, which, I imagine, you can take care of herself like she can, but you're not going to stop like a taser and like ether, which I heard this guy had, and even that, and gotta be a bit, that's gotta be frightening. So I think maybe she was just being eased back in, but it's good to see her, getting time in a feud, and I think she's an asset to that roster.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think she's one of those characters that she's tough, but she's feminine enough at the same time.
Hot.
Right? Yeah, especially the outfit they're giving her now, right? The outfit that they got her on. It's like, but then again, have you noticed that they're all wearing some kind of black vinyl outfit these days? It's like a thing now. But
vinyl, I like it.
Shiny vinyl.
Shiny vinyl makes it shine bright.
Here's the one thing I always say about Naomi before we start talking about Ronda and Charlotte, because obviously Ronda and Charlotte were the stars of this match. That was the point, right? Where Naomi and Sonya were kind of secondary to the match. It's always nice to see someone like Naomi in a match because you could tell she's enjoying what she's doing. She's doing the best that she can do.
Mm-hmm.
The fans recognize her. The public recognizes her achievements and what she can do, but she's like Cesaro in a way, right? That even if you give her a title, it doesn't really last long, or it doesn't have that star power, like let's say with Bianca would have and things like that. But in her particular instance, she's always on top. She's always a top performer.
I think. I'm sorry if I'm interrupting.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think she might be put in the good hand territory.
Mm-hmm.
Like what Al Snow, like I think said, it's like where it's like, yeah, you can count on her to have a good match.
Yeah, kind of like a 1-2-3 kick Xbox thing where they were like your go getters. Like, okay, if they could have a good match with this guy, they can have a good match, pretty much.
And then but they might not see her as going to being the star. Kind of like I kind of feel like a bit like what was happening for a while with Serena Deeb over in AEW.
Mm-hmm.
She was, she's a good hand and can make the others look good, but they're not.
But they got something going on with Serena Deeb.
Yeah,
I
now
think.
they do. But
I think
for a
they do.
while it was.
Yeah, she's definitely one of those top performers there that they're starting to do something with her in particular. All right, let's get into the real two stars of this match, Charlotte and Ronda. First of all, Ronda comes out in her dojo gear, which and no makeup. She straight up said, she said to the makeup person, "Now you ain't touching me up today. I'm going makeupless." Which I was like, first of all, I was like, "Oh, this was interesting." She walking around with her, her little karate outfit and stuff that she's worn before, and she's having the match. I made sense for her to wear something like that, as opposed to what she normally wears. So it was an opportunity for her to wear something different, and still keep true to the show no body, no skin, right? Look, so she comes out with that, and the first, they end up doing the rope thing, and could they not have found the more thickest rope you could come up across? This was like a curtain rope, wasn't it? It was a curtain. I was shocked that the referee was able to even tie the knot on this rope. What do you thought? What's your thoughts, Jarrell?
I must say that it didn't bother me too much. I thought the match was a decent filler match, to build up the rivalry that we're going to get at WrestleMania between Charlotte and Ronda. I thought it was really cool for her to wear her dojo attire. I thought that was really nice. Uh, the her only being able to use one arm, I thought that was, and it was cool. I mean, we've seen it kind of before all the time, but um, it was just, to me, it was good to see Ronda again, in action, and to be given that uh, restriction and still coming off the win. I guess it was necessary. But I like what Naomi had on too. I thought that was really great. Nice and colorful. Same thing for Charlotte and Sonya. They all look great, in the match. It was entertaining. I was more entertained than the Goldberg and Roman match. I thought it was decent.
Yeah, that I will admit that, one thing we could say about Ronda is that she is just like Kurt Angle was. She's been able to adapt in such a rapid way that it's like she's been gone for about a year and a half, maybe even longer. How long has it been? It's almost been 2 years now that she's been gone.
Yeah, no, it's been 2.
Right, because it was WrestleMania is when she departed. So it's been almost 2 years. So it'll be 2 years on WrestleMania. But she came back and she really hasn't lost a beat. She hasn't lost a beat. I think for what it's worth, she still fights really good. She's a trained fighter, so you expect that. But in a wrestling capacity, where she has to sell, she has to do things that she probably wouldn't normally do in an MMA fight. So the acting chops are pretty much there, which I'm really impressed at her work ethic when it comes to that. Obviously, she's not she's not a good actress as per se others are, but I think that match that they're gonna pull off in WrestleMania, her and Charlotte, is gonna be that's gonna be a match that we don't have to worry about. It's gonna be.
I mean, the last time they did it, when it was a bloodbath, I'm like,
Yeah.
This, I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to this one. I think this is a match that we know. Charlotte's again. She's like her father. She cannot have a bad match.
And when there's a problem, put the camera on her.
Yeah, and she knows how to deal with it, because when she had that match with Nia Jax, where you did see something was totally off, they still managed. She still managed to get it by, and people started talking about it and things like that. Did you guys hear about the botch that happened in SmackDown?
I heard about it. Yeah, what happened? Yeah.
So the botch is pretty simple. I guess they were doing some kind of contract signing. Now, keep in mind, yesterday's SmackDown was a recording from the week before, from last week. So they recorded it so they could give them enough time to make it to Saudi for the 12 o'clock show. Because obviously over there it's nighttime, but it starts at 12 over here. So obviously they're their brains thinking differently. But apparently the botch was somewhere on the lines of Ronda was supposed to hit Charlotte with the table, like slam her head on the table or something like that, and they completely missed the spot, and they sold it, but I don't think they aired it. I'm not sure they aired it, or I didn't get a chance to see SmackDown yesterday. But what I heard was that they ended up either doing a different camera angle to make it seem like it happened. But according to the fans that were in attendance, they completely botched it, and it was like she didn't hit the table. She didn't. She just aired it, and it was quite obvious that she just aired the table. But they again, perfect example of someone that's always on top of things. That even if it is a botch, find a way to sell the botch, right?
Mhm.
Because there are some wrestlers that don't. If a botch happens, it's a botch, and they're like, "Oh well, it's a botch, and let's move forward." Where someone like Charlotte, if there's a botch, she'll try to find a way to make the box believable, or something.
What her father did. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
that's why Ric Flair was Ric Flair, right? That was why he's the best of the best, right? To this day, no one has been able to surpass what he's been able to do in his longevity. Um, So they're having a match. Ronda has her arm tied behind her back, technically, but
Yeah.
what I did like was it allowed her to be creative enough to utilize her legs and being able to fight the match, and she got the win. So kudos to her on that one. She got the win. It was an overall good match, I will say. Wasn't a great match, but she got the win with the armbar, which I think was what was meant to happen. And now we're on the road to WrestleMania. Charlotte versus Ronda Rousey. My question for you guys: which night do you put this match on?
Are they okay? Here's my thing. Who's headlining? One night's going to be headlined and closed by the women. That much I pretty much guarantee. Whichever night Roman and Brock aren't on. I think Roman and Brock are night 2, so they're going to do night 1.
Yeah, I think this is the main event for night 1. I don't think it's Becky and Bianca.
No.
What do you think, Jarrell?
I'm hoping that we get Ronda versus Charlotte for night 2 and just get the Roman and Brock match over with. But I doubt that's going to happen. They really want to save that Brock and Roman match, that big blockbuster King Kong versus Godzilla match, for the second night.
Unification match too. So
yeah, unification.
Well, we'll see if it's actually unified.
I guess we'll get into that later, but
Yeah.
I'm not really feeling it.
My head is starting to change. Not because I don't want to see a Brock versus. I've gone on the record saying I don't need another Brock versus Roman match, but the fact that you put the titles on it makes it more meaningful. That match would not be a draw if it wasn't for those titles. That's my thought. Those titles are going to make the match happen. You know what I mean? This is because those titles are the most important titles in their business. All right, moving on. We got a palate cleanser of a match for our next match, which Drew versus Madcap Moss. Okay, let me go on the record and say I like this match. I enjoyed this match, and I will say that head toss where Madcap Moss hit his head on the apron, I am shocked he's okay. You know what I'm saying, guys? I am amazed he came out okay because he hit his head a la Stone Cold Owen Hart way. That's how his head hit the mat, which I was shocked that he was okay, and he was just fine. What do you guys thoughts on this particular match?
I'm gonna be honest. I went out and got a sandwich.
Well, it is a palate cleanser of a match. I'll admit to
I
that
mean,
much.
This was the bathroom break. I mean, happy Corbin and Madcap Moss. Like, I'm sure Drew is just like, all right, I'm getting paid. I'm guessing 250 grand to be here. All right. Madcap Moss, why not? I'll pin him and I'll just do the He-Man pose,
What do you think, Jarrell?
I was happy to see Drew McIntyre there in action. Falls count anywhere. I'm glad they had that stipulation for the match. However, I did want to see, a little bit more hardcore stuff, to go down. I thought, Madcap Boss, I guess he's all right. I just gotta, I feel like I always have to soldier through some of these guys, like to really enjoy them. It's difficult for me to get invested in them. I was rooting for Drew the whole time because I'm more of a Drew fan than, both of them combined. It was decent. I just wanted to have more spots in that match. I wanted to see somebody go through like tables. I wanted to see some, garbage cans. I wanted to see some interaction with the fans, or something like that. I wanted to see more of that. If it took place maybe backstage at some point, that would have been great. And they could have still kept it, for a general audience, for everybody. I thought that would make it more memorable. But it was very hokey dokey and comical. So I guess I'll give it that. But I was glad that Drew won. Hey, I was satisfied.
I will say this much. I like that. First of all, I thought it was the wrong match. I thought the match should have been Drew versus Baron Corbin. So I guess they're saving that for something. They might be saving it for WrestleMania. If they are, I don't think it's worthy to be saved for WrestleMania, to be quite honest, because I think Drew deserves better, to tell you the truth. But for what it's worth, I like from the moment the match started, it became a handicap match. It was like Barry Corbin was like, oh no, I'm involved. I'm getting myself involved and I don't care. And they made it a better match because of that. And yeah, I agree. It wasn't a match that anybody's going to be talking about. We're going to forget all about it come next week, and it's going to mean nothing, right? It's a throwaway match. Madcap Moth is what I call a second level enhancement talent. He's just there to enhance whoever he's wrestling, right? He doesn't have that ability. He's not a superstar type caliber wrestler. Will he ever be? Who knows? We said the same thing about Bradshaw at one time in our lives, right? So I honestly think that particular match was just there again, palate cleanser, bathroom break type of match after the match we just had. Really, actually, the couple of matches we just had, to tell you the truth. So it was an opportunity for someone to go to the bathroom. I do miss the fact that they didn't go as hardcore as they probably should have, especially in an environment like Saudi Arabia. Come on, man. They got sofas in the ring. And, why not throw a guy in a sofa? You never see that, right? That alone would have been fun to have seen. I was like, yes, oh my goodness. Just hear, Michael Cole be like, he threw him in the sofa. So that would have been funny to see. But before we move on to the next thing that I want to talk about, are you guys scared of that sword? Because I am scared that he's gonna actually hurt somebody with this thing.
I love it.
I love it, but you know what? It's dull. It's a dulled blade. It's my friend had a replica sword of Narsil from what was it, from Lord of the Rings, and when you touched it, it was dulled. So there's no way they're gonna allow. You're gonna allow somebody to. The liability risk is
alone, right?
Yeah.
But chopping someone's head off in Saudi Arabia.
Well, I mean, But another thing was, actually, fun ECW story. When I went to see ECW at the county center, they confiscated an axe from some guy. And they were just like, what? Security was like, really? They're like, it's fake. It wasn't.
Well, the wrestling
that you're not supposed to be chopping off limbs. This is not ancient Rome.
Well, I'll tell you this much. The show Jarrell and I went to a couple of weeks ago, they brought in the toaster. We were sitting in front of two guys that brought in a toaster who had way too many drinks at that time already. Yeah. They brought the toaster and they were like, they used the toaster. They got the wrestlers to use the toaster, and then they signed the toasters, and then he recorded something for me. with the toaster sign, and it said, "This is this guy's head," the imprint. So that was some fun stuff there. But yeah, this match in particular, throwaway match. It was just there to fill in some time, get the other matches ready to go.
You know,
But
I was thinking maybe they should have had like maybe a sword fight or something like that.
well, we'll probably get something like that, right? Like a jousting match in WrestleMania.
Right.
There's always like a gimmick match somewhere. So why not?
We'll sword on a pole. Yo, we're gonna put the sword up on the pole, bro.
Oh yeah. Today I was at a friend's studio. He's in a studio, and he says, "Yo, I got something for you," and he gives me a book, right? It was a book that I actually didn't take it with me, but it was the book written by Vince Russo.
Which one?
Something about it was definitely written during his time in TNA, but it was about WCW and stuff like that. But
Oh yeah.
so I was just like, dude, man, I don't need this. He's like, why not? Like, I'm not gonna read it. And one, it's Vince Russo. It's probably worth the price that it's cost. So he looks at the price in the back, and it had like it's the actual cost is like $19.95, but it also had a sticker that said $1. It's like, yep, that's probably the price it's worth. $1 because it's Russo's Russo, and he's not really worth anything.
You know, I'm gonna say I do enjoy listening to him. What he is good about is he's actually very good at pointing out the flaws in the product and where it's going wrong. The problem is his solutions will be, and I wrote actually, and sometime maybe I'll read this for you, a Vince Russo AEW format. It was written by Vince Russo. Yeah, his solutions are, you know, craziness.
but Vince Russo, you know, instead of going off topic for a minute, but Vince Russo is the typical fan who knows, he sees all the flaws in everything, but he himself does not have the answers. And it's, you know, he's the type of guy that out of all of his 100, you know, ideas, you could probably pick 5 of them that are good, but the other 95 are garbage.
Well, that's what it was like when he was working for Vince. Apparently.
And that's the thing. And when he was working for Vince, that's where we were able to find the 5, and we utilized those 5. But some of them did go through the cracks, right? The artist formerly known as Goldust was awful.
Boy.
that was
awful.
Right? So that one was pretty bad. So
Beaver
you know, at the end, yeah, exactly. At the end of this match, obviously we get a Claymore by Drew McIntyre. He steps on his chest. 1, 2, 3. Match is over. Corbin walks off, looking on it. Obviously, this feud will continue because we got the match. The end match will have to be Drew versus Corbin in some way. However, we ended up going into a promo piece where they were talking to, out of all people, The Miz. And I want to point this out because The Miz was talking about getting a tag team partner. And he did mention about calling someone. Okay. What's your thoughts?
Good way to bring in Cody. I mean, if you know, we're gonna step on that mine. But if he's coming back, I mean, you know, a guy from a wrestling family coming in to face another wrestling family, and maybe you just build to. I mean, granted, this is not where I'd want to put Cody if he was coming back.
I agree. I wouldn't want to put Cody there either.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to put Cody in with Cody and Miz, but I mean, you know, once again, knowing what company this is, knowing how Vince is, yes, Cody Rhodes should be, when he comes back, he should be brought in as a big deal.
He should be.
And, you know, be like, because God knows they need a new star. But once again, I can see Kevin Dunn getting in Vince's head and Bruce Pritchard going, well, you know, we can't let, you know, an EVP come, the guy that was on their show come in and beat our superstars, you know? And, you know, I can see Bruce Pritchard saying, Vince, come on, We need the polka dots. You know.
There has been discussion about the polka dots. The
Mhm.
polka dots have definitely been in discussion.
It's
Um, but now could this possibly be Miz and Maurice versus Cody and Brandy situation?
please don't give us that.
We've seen it so many times already. Edge and Phoenix, you know.
But why
And
not?
and
I'm
look,
not saying I want it. I'm saying why not?
well, all right. Oh, all right. I'm gonna say this about Brandy, and I know, and she gets a lot of harsh commentary, like, and some of it I don't think is deserved. But I really just see her as she is the rock star's supermodel wife who thinks she should be singing on the album, and he caves. And I think that's what it is with Brandy. I think she is a beautiful woman, and like when she and Cody are, and basically she should just be his valet.
But
That's
I think there's merit in Brandy. I think, granted, I don't think she's the best thing. She is a WWE. She is a product of WWE, right? So she's, it's not that she's necessarily just Cody's wife. She and Cody met in WWE.
yeah.
She was a WWE superstar, to say the
She's an
least.
announcer.
Yeah, she was an announcer. She does have some wrestling chops. I'm not saying she's as close as Asuka is, but what I'm saying is that I think I personally think she has good mic skills. But then again, when you're walking around someone that has the mic skills that Cody has, some of it's gonna have to rub off, right? Some of the ideas will have they have to talk, right?
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Thus like we said last I said last time, Seth and Becky are just kind of like mirroring each other. So you're seeing a lot of what Becky's doing in Seth and what Seth is doing in Becky. So you see a lot of that. So I'm thinking the same thing with Brandy and Cody. However, the whole Cody situation, I always find very interesting because I don't think he's gonna come in if it for something bad. I don't. I think he's going to come in with the iron heart. Yes, I do believe the Kevin Dunns are going to try to get involved, but I also believe that again, and I'm not one to know what the contract looks like if there is even a contract, but if if rumors are true, his contract has some clauses in there because of what the Bucks said and Omega said about the contracts they were being handed, that they were being handed contracts that would allow them to kind of like null the contract if they didn't like the way things were going after a few months. So I think he's gonna have something similar. When that part is over, that's when I see okay, it's time to punish the kid, and I think they will punish him in some way because they do that to everybody. Everybody got punished. Um, you know,
Well, look at what they did. I mean, look what they did to DDP. Look at what they did to the WCW guys. Look what they did to Sting. I mean, look what they did to his father. I mean,
yeah, they've all gotten, look what they did to Hogan. Look what they did to, everyone has been hurt in some way. Look what they did to man, the names all over the place, right? If you are not with them at any given time and you come back to them, you will suffer in some way. You know what I mean? And I
oh,
think that's going to happen.
It's like a hazing.
Yeah, it's going to
yeah.
happen. But I think Cody's smart. I think Cody's smart enough to know that going in, and he's expecting it. I think I'm still shocked by the decision of him leaving in the first place,
I
but
agree.
at the same time, there had to have been some reason for him to just say, "I'm gone." You know what I mean? I think Tony Khan in particular has been more, you know, he's been more of I'm taking over now. You guys helped me open the door, and now I'm here. But Tony seems to be like just a kid in a candy store, at times. But I think now he's taking the business side a little more serious. But he's starting to become more Eric Bischoff, not Dixie Carter yet. I hope he doesn't go Dixie Carter, but he's starting to be a little more like Eric Bischoff, where he doesn't have an unlimited supply of money, but he has a large bank account to
Yeah.
bring talent in, and he's bringing in the talent, and those who kind of started are kind of like being put to the side, unfortunately. So I hope that doesn't stay that way.
Yeah, but the ones who are being put to the side are like, the Marco Stunts, the Joey Janellas, the ones that really don't add anything to the show, that actually make the show like look, outlaw, as they say.
Mhm.
Those guys are kind of going to the side. But the biggest issue I see with them is just pacing, because they have all this talent, but like it was weeks before we saw Darby again on the show. I remember. I mean, Darby was gone for weeks and he was like one of their hottest rating draws. They should have been having him on every week in some capacity.
Yeah, I feel the same way right now with Miro.
Yeah,
Miro's gone. Like,
yeah.
where is he? But one thing I've learned is that absence makes the heart grow fonder, and I think there is some merit in doing that, because again, we don't know the contracts. We don't know how many days they're given. So maybe this is part of their contracts. Someone like Darby probably wants to work every day, but at the same time, with his size and his age, you don't want to break him down either. Um, he is a stunt man in that sense, and he's willing to kill himself for it. We just don't want him to actually kill himself.
Right. Well,
you know what I mean?
and it's Tony's job to rein him in. I mean,
Yeah.
Darby's shown he's an amateur wrestler, and you watch the match with Punk, he could do stuff that's not like, stunt stuff, and he's good at it. Once again, I think if MJF is the first of their four pillars to win the world title, I think Darby's going to be the guy to take it off of him.
Oh yeah, that's what you see. You don't see it being Sammy.
Nah, I mean, it's because Sammy and I can see Sammy and Darby definitely going at it for the world title, and maybe Sammy taking it off Darby. But I definitely think MJF will be the first one to get it.
Yeah, I think MJF's the one that's going to take it from Adam. I don't think Adam Cole's going to win the title.
I honestly, at this stage right now, if they really want to shake things up, Keith Lee.
Oh yeah, but looks like Keith Lee's going for TNT.
See, that's the problem. Keith Lee, not only is he a heavyweight, he can hang athletically with the Bucks and Omega.
Mm-hmm.
He should be unstoppable there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's very obvious he's going for
like
the TNT. He's going to go for the TNT for now.
I totally agree. I think there's so much that you could do with Keith Lee and pairing up in some epic matches on TV, because he's a big guy, and to see a big guy wrestle like that is something that they need right now. And I think AEW, him taking on Adam Cole, him taking on MJF maybe at some point. There's a lot to get a lot of meals off of. So I think that's a good idea. As far as the Cody Rhodes goes, I think if he comes to WWE, he's coming.
He's not going for a small paycheck.
He's got to be in the main event spotlight. He's got to.
I agree.
Like, you can't have him come back and I think be in mid-card matches or mid-card rivalries or tag team with the Miz. You got to pair him in a match with, like, I don't know, have Triple H return or something, or go where he left off, sort of, kind of.
But that's what I don't want. I don't want a Triple H Cody, even though that made more sense than Triple H's thing. I don't want a Cody Triple H. Triple H does not. He's physically unable to perform now, I think.
I don't really care for it that much either, but it seems like that's something that might be a way to go.
I think that's because, based on all those things, I think that's where they're gonna probably, humiliate him. That's where it's like, nope, you're losing to Triple H.
Yeah. And if that match happens, I see that it should be a Mania match, but I see that being a SummerSlam match.
Yeah.
Or I was thinking Cody may return after WrestleMania. If Roman wins, maybe we'll have a Cody versus Roman match. If you really want to shoot Cody to the moon, have Cody be the one that takes the belt from Roman, because it's not going to be Brock. Brock's not going to do it. I don't see Brock winning that title.
Okay, guys, let's move forward and let's go into a match that a lot of people had some high hopes in, only because it's we're talking about a legend versus a current legend, right?
Mhm.
One of the biggest female star in wrestling right now outside of Ronda. Um, some people may say she's bigger than Ronda.
Uh,
Um,
Biggest
so
star I think overall they've made
yeah,
in years.
she is the closest thing to our female version of Stone Cold Steve Austin, to say
Mhm.
the least, right?
Yep.
And again, this is just like Goldberg match was meant to be an extravaganza match. We knew that we knew it was going to end with Becky winning, but did we see Lita perform at the same caliber as she once did? What do you guys say?
I think she did good.
Mhm.
I was impressed with her. I mean, obviously, like she's not as doing as many of the dangerous stuff like she used to, but it was still Lita, and they were all into her.
Oh yeah.
And
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, Lita, you know what? She comes back every now and then for a show, for a big show, and I think, yeah, I mean, and I think she and Becky it worked well. I mean, yes, this was a placeholder match, and this was something I think for the Saudi crowd. I could
Mhm.
see them being like, like the Saudi prince being like, "Well, I'd like to see Lita.
Yeah, of course.
Make it happen."
Just like the time when he said I want to see Ultimate Warrior, and he was like, "Oh, he's dead, So I was like, "Really? Okay, put someone with some makeup."
I feel like this was a match that they used to put people in the seats. I think for
Yeah.
people, especially like maybe in the Attitude or Ruthless Aggression era, they were
Mhm.
like, let's have an audience for them, and get Goldberg and get Lita in the match. I felt that Lita did do a pretty good job, because, she's probably, her body is like, probably a little tired and stuff after all those matches that she had, after all those injuries that
The
she
neck
had.
issues.
Yeah, neck issues and with her ankle, I believe. And I did watch WWE rivalries between her and Trish Stratus, and how that came about, and how they had iconic rivalry and became friends as well. So to see that legacy and to see Lita's legacy, it's just rich as a female competitor. I do think that at the Royal Rumble she was maybe a little rusty. She seemed a little tired in the ring at the Rumble, but I think she was like training, hard for this match. And I think that she really studied well with Becky and what she was doing in the ring as well. So she definitely studied Becky's tapes, because I think she followed up well in this match. It was sad to see her lose, because who doesn't love Lita? So it was kind of sad at the end. However, it was necessary. If I could see Lita maybe in another match at WrestleMania, that would be great, because I feel like at Elimination Chamber, that's just not enough to see the last of Lita.
Yeah, I hope we get one more match as far as for Lita goes. But
I
I
think
would yeah, I think we would too, but I'll be okay with this being the final match too.
um,
But I doubt, I'm with you guys. I don't think this is the last we'll see of Lita. What I would like to see, especially when legends come back, is I like to see a program. And what I mean by program, I like to see them come in and wrestle matches, you know, for a block of matches, right? What I always grow tired of is the wrestler coming in saying, "I want this match," and they say, "Okay, you get this match." They only get their match because they're star quality matches, right? They don't get their match because they've earned it or anything like that. That was one of the reasons I think why the Shawn Michaels return was such a big deal, because even though he was given the strap almost immediately, but after that, it was like Shawn Michaels is part of the roster. Shawn Michaels is a person in the roster. Um,
Yeah,
and dare I say that's my favorite Shawn Michaels run. The
and she
run, his second run was to me his best run because it had the most
oh,
momentum.
he
And
had
then
so
of
much
course with
amazing
it's
matches.
the greatest comeback in wrestling history.
yeah,
Yeah,
his matches were amazing, and he's Shawn Michaels, so
yeah,
how could you doubt that, right? but
Oh man.
definitely better than his first run. His second run was amazing because he accomplished everything he wanted to accomplish. So now it's just him having fun. That's all it was, and he knew it. So I think it was a good match. There was good like styles in them because obviously Becky mirrors herself a lot out of Lita. Where if Charlotte looks like anybody, Charlotte reminds me of Trish, and Becky reminds me of Lita. That's how I look at
Yeah.
the two, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. It's like Punk Star versus Punk Star. And I enjoyed the match. I think it was a good match. I think it was a nice little send off match for Lita. Um, the way it came across at the end. And the crowd loves it because say what you want to say about these particular uh, premium events, as they like to call them
Yeah.
now. Say what you can say about these events. I don't blame the fans. The fans are fans, right?
Mhm.
Um, and it's nice to see actual fans that are not jaded like American fans can be.
Yeah.
So these fans are the fans that WWE likes to have, because they know that there's no AEW or Impact or ROH in the corner somewhere, there's no real alternative for them. So these fans, this is what they got, and they appreciate what they got because they don't get it every day.
Yeah.
Oh no, I mean this is a big deal. They only come by, twice per year, and I mean I don't know exactly. I mean you don't really hear about a lot of people in entertainment going to Saudi Arabia. They
Mhm.
don't want to go,
Yeah.
and WWE is just like, we're going, and
Yeah, well, there's guys that don't go. We don't got no Kevin Owens, no
yeah,
Sami Zayn. So there's people that don't go. And thankfully they don't really get punished for it now. Before they did. But they got the match, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
uh,
You can't tell me that Danielson becoming the planet's champion, or basically all his beliefs were like, he was being a heel, like I mean, he came out in a "Say No to Racism" shirt, and I'm like, but that's a baby face thing, he's the baby face wearing that, and he was heel. I mean, I'm like, yeah, this was Vince definitely punishing him for the Saudi Arabia thing.
Mhm.
I think Brie probably had to step in and was like, "Yeah, come on," because I think
Yeah.
Brie probably has Vince's ear.
Possibly, but then again, you also have this guy as well, Laurinaitis, that's right there too. They're family in some way.
Yeah.
So before we get to the next match, they made the announcement. They made the announcement yesterday. However, I hate the way they make announcements now when it comes to these things. No true surprise, but we end up getting an Undertaker Hall of Fame announcement. First of all, we knew it was coming. We knew it had to happen the moment he's retired. So the question I have is he truly retired now? Can we say Undertaker's officially retired now that he's going into the Hall of Fame?
I think it wouldn't be too much to say that I can see him coming back every now and again for a match, but as far as like what we call retired is his days as a regular member of the roster appearing on like Raw every week, are now officially done. That is not going to happen again.
Mhm.
But yeah, I could see him showing up every now and then.
Mhm. Do you think he might work a program in some way?
He might.
He
He
might.
might.
Mhm.
The question is with who? I mean,
Yeah. I think he'll make some splashes here and there, like what he did with the New Day, that kind of Halloween special
Oh, that was fun.
on
If you didn't
Netflix.
get to see that, I think it was fun. It's
Yeah.
so dumb.
I think he'll do cool stuff like that,
Yeah.
but nothing in which he's like on the main roster, you know, uh, doing his thing, wrestling. Nah, I think he's shot there. But I think he's going to make some cool appearances here and there.
Oh, I think he's gonna be. Yeah, he's gonna be a. Yeah, he's gonna be. Yeah, I mean, like he'll show up, or he'll be like, or he'll show up as like, all right, they'll need a match for this, but as an enforcer. I mean,
Mm-hmm. Like
magic.
somebody's in the corner.
Yeah, like like so it's like okay, this match, we need to make sure there's not going to be any interference. Oh, the Undertaker's going to be the enforcer, and make sure no shenanigans happen,
Mm-hmm.
and that you can really do some stuff with, and I think people would enjoy that. I mean, the question is, what he can do,
Mm-hmm.
and how and how you get in his legendary spots. Like the cinematic matches, I think work for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the only thing I could say is that I can't see him working a program with anyone unless that person is going to get the next mantle. So the
Yeah.
passing of the torch kind of guy. We all know that Roman Reigns, Rock still has some possibility, right? So if The Rock was to come back, the only guy The Rock could fight is going to be Roman Reigns, right? So we get that one last match, which I think will happen. I don't think
think it's up to The
he
Rock.
has somebody. I don't think he has somebody. I don't think
Right.
the person that he had is gone, which was Bray.
Yeah.
Bray was the guy. And they had that match. That match existed. It was a letdown of a match because that was the match that Bray should have won. I honestly believe if Bray would have won that match, we wouldn't be talking about the problems that we have with Bray Wyatt today, and anything like that. That match would have been his moment. Same thing with CM Punk, and things like that. So there are things that came along, that he had. There was people. Aleister Black would have been perfect for Undertaker.
Yes.
Yeah.
But again, we didn't let it happen. And dare I say it, if we ever get Sting Undertaker, it'll still draw a crowd. You know what I
Draw a
mean?
crowd, yeah.
No.
But we know it's not going to be good.
I feel like
But
you have. But my gripe about it is that you have a lot of these young talent in the back that I think that instead of wasting time keeping them in mid card or having them tag team, they need to like build up their personas and have, they need to be on a journey. They need to come from being a mid carder to being a main eventer. I think it's the young guys in the back that need that build up to take on Roman. They need a story because you're bringing all these guys from like years ago or that are getting older, like Brock, he's getting older, Bobby's getting up there, AJ's getting up there, and sure, they got life in them, to continue wrestling. But I feel like you have a lot of young talent in the back that needs to get built up to face Roman.
And that's a WWE problem, right? That's the problem they created amongst themselves. But do they see it as a problem? I don't think they fully see it as a problem because at this time they could clearly say now that the logo's more popular than the wrestler.
That's what
they want, right?
Yeah.
They want that the brand is bigger than the wrestler. And for years that wasn't the case.
Yeah, they will clip out from under the legs. Someone that looks like it's getting bigger is going to get bigger than the brand. I mean, the only one really that got bigger was Cena, and a lot of it was because I'm hearing everything I hear about Cena is like, why is he so popular in Hollywood right now? It's because in addition to being talented, he shows up on time, he's ready, to go to shoot, and he's not a problem on set, which he learned from Vince. But that's probably Cena's the last guy to do it, and they don't want that. I think that honestly, I'm going to say this: the future that they want is what we're seeing in NXT. They want that they're going to have these gimmicks that they already have come up with, and they're just going to take guys and just put them in them,
But now that you brought that up, The only person I could see that could potentially become that next person,
Braun Breaker.
Braun Breaker.
Yep. Braun Breaker. Yep.
He's the only guy. But with Braun Breaker comes baggage. He's a Steiner. and you cannot deny the Scottness of him.
There's definitely, yeah. Well, now that Hogan's kind of like a bit of all right, how am I going to put this? I was trying to find the words. Hogan's now been a bit restrained, I think, in terms of his power, because now Vince can literally say, "Hey, I took you back after." Well, we all know what happened.
Yeah.
So I can see Vince being like, "Hey, Scott Steiner's coming into the building. You're either here or you're not, or if you want this payday, you know." But Rick Steiner. Look, once again, yeah, he's a Steiner, and it shows.
It's obvious, right? His gear, he looks like them, right? So,
yeah.
So he's a Steiner, but first of all, it's a gullible name. It's a dumb name.
Yeah, the name's terrible.
But it's a name that I think can work, and I think it's gonna work. I think everybody's talking Braun Breaker. The moment he first showed up, they were talking about Braun Breaker. Now he's the champion. Braun Breaker this, Braun Breaker that. So with Braun Breaker in particular, I do believe that he's going to be that next guy. So let's see. Jarrell's back. So we lost you for a second there, buddy.
Yeah.
So I just put you to the side for now. But as we were talking with Braun Breaker in particular, he has the look, he has the feel, he has the chops. Yeah, the athleticism. He's the whole package. The only problem is, will you keep him strong? That is their biggest problem. Will they keep someone strong? They're showing that they're starting to do that now. They're showing someone like Bobby Lashley looking strong. They're showing obviously with Roman Reigns that he looks strong. Brock is in a stage of his own. I'll say. Yeah. That's it. Those are the only guys that look strong. Only guys. I can't think of anybody else that looks strong, because you got someone like Walter, who they ended up calling Gunther, and no one's calling him Gunther.
Nazi. Like, how did that get? That doesn't say. You're at a company and you're checking up. WWE has someone that looks up this stuff.
Apparently, they don't.
Somehow this slips through. But selling him as like I want to see Walter, Gunther, and Braun Breaker. That's gonna be a match, and I think actually Walter. I'm gonna keep calling him Walter. We all know who I'm talking about.
He's gonna that's gonna be one of those guys that I think will eventually get his Walter moniker back. I think, because it's such a dumb thing that I don't think Gunther's gonna stay.
Yeah,
and I don't think they're gonna make it stick.
Yeah, and the other thing about it is, like, what is it being associated with now?
Exactly.
Gunther, whatever his name is, the Nazi submarine commander. Unless you're gonna be, and this might happen, you're gonna bring him in and have him act like Colonel Clink,
Well, that's how you damage a character like Gunther, right? You turn it into a sideshow comedy act, and they've done that before.
Breaker.
Yeah, they do that. But what I would like to see them do is, if they think Braun Breaker's the guy, do not have him lose. Even if he loses, he can't lose. And what I mean is that when he loses the title, which he eventually will, it needs to happen through shenanigans. It needs to happen in a way that he didn't really lose. Something went wrong. He got hit with a cowbell. I don't know. We're just throwing things, right? Keep it classic wrestling. That's how it works. It's like CM Punk MJF. What made it work was, first and foremost, CM Punk did not lose when he arrived to AEW. His first loss comes by the hands of MJF, but it comes through the hands through shenanigans. And the best part is that they did it not once, but they did it twice in the same match. So, and the same thing with Adam Cole. Adam Cole's the same exact things. Like he lost to Orange Cassidy in a lights out match, so it doesn't count. So
that one is that one, I like Orange Cassidy, but honestly, if you're going to be putting Adam Cole in the title picture, I mean, and also with Orange Cassidy giving him like the weakest bear hug ever, and like Adam Cole doing the typical elite overacting, I think just hurt him.
Possibly, yeah, I think so.
Especially if we're going to be doing this is what it's looking like, Bullet Club versus the Elite.
Oh yeah, they're definitely going there.
That's gonna be, I think, blood and guts, or should be.
Yeah, I think obviously the Jay White scenario is very interesting to me because it sounds to me like they are working something big. All right, they're saying there's something big going on. I think Jay White showing up was actually a thank you. It was like, hey, I need some help. Give me a favor. I'll do you a favor. That was Jay White situation.
Yeah.
I honestly think Okada's gonna show up sooner or later.
I think he will. The only issue, I think, once again, is whatever the travel restrictions are.
If it's not Okada, then it's gonna be this guy. What's his name? Oh my god, his name's escaping me.
Ospreay,
yeah.
Ospreay or Naito?
Ospreay.
Yeah.
Ospreay's bigger. Naito, don't get me wrong, Naito's awesome, but I think Naito, we'll see. I think we will see Naito, but I don't think Naito will have a bigger oh my god moment than an Ospreay or Okada. Those two.
Oh, those are gonna be very
Tanahashi. We were gonna get Tanahashi. It didn't happen. It didn't pan out.
Yeah, I heard it was like it was the travel. And
yeah,
so
So those are the guys. Those are the guys that I see coming. And maybe, who knows, maybe WWE might get into their ears beforehand. We'll never know. We never know how things go. Okay.
Don't say it with Okada. Don't say it with Okada. He knows what they're like, and he knows what the environment's now like.
Yeah.
And just look at, I mean, right now, that Io Shirai thing where she was looking depressed. I'm like, she's probably really thinking that. 1 year ago, she was coming in to what was obviously the best presentation of Japanese women's wrestling in America, where it was being treated right. And now next year you have Saray doing the magical schoolgirl gimmick.
Oh yeah.
And Wendy Chu, and she's probably just looking at it and just going, "Oh my god, what did I get into? Get me out of here."
Yeah, I hear you. All right, another throwaway match. This was really throwaway.
Yeah.
So I saw, again, I haven't been keeping up to date with a lot of WWE. I saw this match and I was like, oh wow, this actually looks like a really cool match on paper. Well, it turns out that's all it was. Let's cut this match short because I don't know how long time they have, because originally we had this cast scheduled for 3:30 because I thought they were gonna go longer. They didn't go past 3:00, so it was a 3-hour show. In particular, which I was a little shocked by, But this particular match never happened. It was a no contest. The Usos versus the Viking Raiders. They came out to their raid chant, and the Usos jumped them before they could have an opportunity to get to the ring, and the match was called a no contest. All I got to say is disappointment. Because it is definitely a match to have. Now, what that means is that this match is going to happen somewhere else. And unfortunately, I think this match is going to end up as a SmackDown main event.
Yeah, but you know what? At least the guys got paid.
Did they? Yeah, it's not like a boxing match, right? You get paid for fighting in the match, not
Yeah.
outside of the match.
Yeah, and all they just need to do is just show up, and it's like, all right.
Yeah. It Jarrell, my bro. What do you think?
Yeah, that I feel like if that's something that they decided to do an elimination chamber, then they should build it up towards WrestleMania, or else what was the point of even introducing the Viking Raiders, to face off the Usos? I mean, you got two big guys, looking like Vikings. They're the Viking Raiders. They're supposed to be some mighty dudes, douching it out, really beating the mess out of guys, and I feel like, it should have been a match, in my opinion. It should have been something that at a pay-per-view, you shouldn't have matches in which, it doesn't even become a match. You don't do that at a pay-per-view.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, I was like working on my script at that point because, I it just felt a little dead to me. So, I felt that was cheap.
It was cheap. Now, does this mean that they're going to have obviously they're going to have they're going to schedule another match? It'll
Yep.
probably happen in SmackDown. But does that also mean that we're going to get a title change? Usually, when you see things like that, you see a title change that comes along with it. Now, if it's WrestleMania that this match happens, I'm okay with that. Right? Why do I think it's not going to be WrestleMania? Because I think in WrestleMania they have a tendency of forgetting that tag team exists.
Yeah.
Right?
Lately, yes, yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, we have tag teams. Oh, I thought we got to put people together.
I think Vince, I don't think likes tag teams. I mean, I guess he.
I don't understand the logic behind it. I don't understand why people feel the way they feel about people Vince feels the way he feels about tag team wrestling. I think tag team wrestling is a stable that we love. It is something that when done right could be better than the main event sometimes.
Yeah.
Because I always go back to the 80s when it comes to tag team wrestling, and in the 80s they had such a great array of tag teams. Obviously the Legion of Doom being my personal favorite. I love the Legion of Doom, but even Demolition was their version of the Legion of Doom. They were great for their time. All versions of Demolition, I don't care. Throwing Crush, I don't care. I like Crush. The Rockers, the Heart Foundations, Brutus Beefcake and Greg Valentine and Honky Tonk guy, Honky Tonk man. It's like
the Rougeos.
I was gonna say the Rougeos,
the Bulldogs,
the Bulldog, yeah, Bulldogs.
even the Bushwhackers.
Even the Bushwhackers, man. So the Sheep Herders, I heard, was pretty bad.
No, I heard they were like everyone says like they were the opposite. They were out of control.
Yeah, I heard the Sheep Herders were insane. Never got to see them, but I've seen photos. And then if you go with the WCW NWA era, Rock and Roll Express, Midnight Express,
the Steiner brothers,
obviously the Steiners,
Doom, the Fantastics.
Yeah,
I mean
the dudes. Remember the Fabulous Dudes?
The Dynamic Dudes.
The Dynamic Dudes. So it was like the Skyscrapers.
Yeah. Horsemen, Tully and Arn.
Oh yeah. Again, we could go on and on and on with how many great tag teams were out there of putting two guys together, having charisma with each other, right? Mm-hmm. They have a connection. You could do different types of versions. You could do big guy, little guy stuff, and the worst part about it is that the tag teams in the WWE, there are so many guys there that could be so good at tag teams, but they never give them the opportunity to become great tag teams. They're good tag teams, but there's always one or two that outshines the other for one reason or another, right? Let's just say like the Street Profits, for example. Mm-hmm. I could see them being gone in a year. In a year, I could see them dismantle the Street Profits because the money is in Montez Ford, right? That's where the money's at, right?
Yeah.
but they're good. You know what I mean? As a tag team, they have the right chemistry, and it sucks that you see this happen all the time with WWE. That no tag team has a longevity, with the exception of the Usos, of
And the
more
New
than
Day.
a two. And the New Days, and the New Days a little different, right? They are a little different in that way, because they're technically singles wrestlers that became tag teams
Yeah.
wrestlers, right? Even though Kofi's kind of a tag team specialist now. Um, so yeah, big turn off by this match. I was really upset by it. It would have been nice to actually see a match, especially knowing what the right Viking Raiders can do from their days as being the War Machines.
The War Raiders. Oh yeah.
No, they were the War Machines. Then they became the War Raiders or something like that. Then they became the Viking Experience,
Yeah.
and they finally settled into Viking Raiders.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll get to see this match. I'm sure we will. We'll see. All right, on to the main event, the last match of the day. Right, it's not even evening yet.
Yeah.
Um, I see we did get a comment by TV saying AJ wrestled in 18 different wrestling federations for at least 24 years. Obviously, today is not his day, but hopefully gets his title shot in NXT. First of all, thank you for the comment. Greatly appreciate it. He needs to get his title shot in WWE. I think his NXT days are he's just passing by there.
Yeah.
Um, okay, let's start off with how the match started. The match started. You got Bobby Lashley comes in first. He's the champion. Comes in first. AJ Styles, Riddler comes in,
Yep.
and then, which I thought was hilarious to me. Then we get Seth Rollins. We get Austin Theory, and then we get Seth Rollins, and then the final person is Brock. But yet Brock goes into the chamber, which I was like, wait a minute. Shouldn't Brock have been called in between? So this is how much pull Brock Lesnar has, right? That he still comes in last, even though he's not the last. He's not. He's part of the first two, right? Because that's usually how it's supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
So he comes in. I have to admit, the match had it was a good set of wrestlers. I think this particular set of 6 men for an elimination chamber was by far a really good group of men for this type of match, because you had different styles that come in. Now, again, we don't know what really happened to Bobby Lashley, but assuming it was part of the plan, I think it was a big letdown. But at the same time, the match starts off with Seth and Austin Theory, and I got to give it to Austin Theory.
Yeah, he was
He
good.
he had a really good, solid performance. I text Jorel about this one, right? I love his selfies. His selfies are the best. You know? And I love the fact that when he went around the chamber and he was taking a selfie with everybody, how they all responded to the selfie, and Matt Riddle was the best one, because Matt Riddle was like, sure, I'll take a selfie with you. So what do you guys think about how the match started with Seth and Austin Theory?
I thought it was good.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. I think it started off, by having, Seth, evade Austin's Theory's attacks. I thought that was nice. That's like your signature Seth Rollins, being a jokester, trickster, evader. He did a good job at that. I thought it started off great, smoothly.
Yeah. I think with Seth Rollins in particular, we talked about this in Royal Rumble, how his character is evolving into this Joker-like character. But what I'm starting to notice now, especially with this particular card, he's becoming less Joker to me and more Loki.
Yeah, like an escapist or something.
Yeah, so he's becoming more of a Loki character where he can't help himself. So what a lot of people don't understand about the Loki dynamic is Loki is a villain. However, he is a villain because he has no other way of being different. So he's like he's a villain because he has to be a villain kind of thing.
Yeah.
Not necessarily because he wants to be a villain. I think that's where Seth is going with this character. That he's just a trickster. He's just having fun with people. He'll play the good guy when necessary, but when it's also necessary to play the bad guy, he'll play the bad guy. And I think for Seth, it's working really well because this is by far one of the best version of Seth Rollins I've seen in a very long time. And then playing alongside Austin Theory, where Austin Theory is just a snot-nosed brat, really.
Oh yeah.
I thought there was a good match in there. He comes in, and then Riddle comes into the match, and Riddle, you know what? For the type of person Riddle is, it's amazing how good he really is. You sometimes forget it because of the dude attitude he has, right? He has this laid back, I'm a dude, and really not that smart, really. They play off the kind of how dumb he can be, but he's a phenomenal wrestler. Obviously, MMA background, but such a great wrestler. And one thing I remember seeing is that I don't know if you caught him doing the wink with Brock Lesnar, knowing that from what I'm hearing, is that there's some real beef between the two guys.
Oh yeah, I've heard that. They like I think he said something and Brock is just like, and Brock basically will like refuse to work with him or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like basically, and like the only time they'll ever cross paths is in this type of match or the Rumble.
Yeah. But they got to look at each other in the eyes for a few minutes and stuff. So, and I think Brock has let loose a little bit more. I don't think Brock is as stuck up as he used to be.
I have to tap out, brothers.
All right, Jarrell. So,
you gotta eliminate me out of the chamber first.
All right, Jarrell. It's been great having you, bro. We'll see you soon, man. I'll talk to you soon, okay, man?
Talk soon, yeah.
Okay, Todd, it's just you and me now.
Yep.
So, we see this match. Riddle comes in, then AJ comes in, and it ends up being a 4-way match at the moment. What do you guys think about what do you guys thought about the match?
I mean, I thought it was a good match, and then like the whole thing, but I think like, I looked away and whatever happened to Lashley happened, so I was like starting to wonder, okay, now like what's happening now? What's going on?
Yeah, they had to call an audible on that one, it looks like.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what ends up happening is apparently someone didn't know Lashley was out, right? so they do the eliminations, and then obviously the next pick comes out. It was meant to be Lashley.
Yeah.
So of course nothing happens.
Yeah.
And Lesnar said, "Screw it, I'm coming out."
He just punched his way out like Doomsday.
What always cracks me up about the announce team is they always play off like this plexiglass is the strongest plexiglass in the world. This is the stuff that's on airlines, and it's plexiglass that just shatters into pieces like with one typical little punch, right?
Yeah.
But he comes out. How did you feel about his dominance with the guys? Because immediately he comes out, Rollins, Riddle, AJ put up a little bit of a fight, but AJ, they all just fell down like dominoes.
I mean, I guess it makes sense. Brock is coming in fresh as a daisy. These guys have been beating each other up like, for the majority of the match. And he comes in, he's fresh, and he's just dominant, and it's just like, I believe it. I believe if he was in, he'd be just destroying people. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think they could have done more with maybe everybody trying to gang up on him and like, all like pit them all at once,
Yeah.
Kind of like how they would eliminate how the Andre the Giant was eliminated from the Royal Rumble, where everybody, ganged up to get rid of him. And I think they could have done that, but overall, yeah, it was Brock Lesnar. It was what I expected from him. And, notice that the guys, there's something to the idea that people like wrestlers that when we look at them, we know they can kick our ass.
Yeah. You know what? For what it's worth, you kind of just. I think at this stage now, you kind of just go with Lesnar and saying, he's going to get all the best moments, right? He's been given that leeway to be the monster. He's been given that leeway to be that beast incarnate, as they call him. What I found a little bit upsetting was it is Rollins, it is Riddle, it is AJ. These are three guys who are ahead of their class. They're the top performers.
Yeah.
And they just didn't put up a fight in that sense. And yeah, I'll admit to the fact that they just probably retired and beaten up, and we could play off that game. But this particular chamber match, prior to that one Lashley spot, which apparently seemed to have been an accident,
yeah,
there was no real big spots before Brock showed up. Right? It was all it was a Brock show.
Yep.
And us as fans, we've gone to the point that we've grown tired of it, right? We like. I think there's merit in liking to see Brock in the match, but Brock is becoming like Goldberg was when he was at 87 or something like that, where it's like, oh, he's gonna go in, he's gonna win, he's gonna leave, and that's that, right? And that's kind of like Brock is, and it's like they're just. It's like what accomplishment does Brock not have in WWE now? It almost feels that way now. It's like, oh, he doesn't have an elimination chamber in his belt. Okay, let's go give him one now. It's almost as if they did a contract negotiation, and in the contract negotiation, it says Brock Lesnar must win every single type of gimmick match out there now to the end of time, right? So it's like, what does he not have? Oh, he doesn't have a Hell in the Cell. Okay, let's give him a Hell in the Cell. Oh, he doesn't have a Money in the Bank. Oh, let's give him a Money in the Bank. He does have a Royal Rumble, but he hasn't had a Royal Rumble in a while. Okay, let's give him a Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
Now let's give him an Elimination Chamber. You know what I mean? It's like it's come to that point where it's like we see what you're doing with Brock.
Yeah.
And that's what people get tired of. It's like it's no longer a magic show anymore, and that's how I feel about it. He's dominant, yes, because you're allowing him to be dominant.
Well, you're allowing him, but you also know that if push does come to shove with anybody in there, except maybe Lashley, it's gonna be a very one-sided fight.
Exactly, and I think again with the whole Lashley situation, will it have been? We don't know. We really don't know. Would it have been a nice one-on-one match? Could it have been Lashley comes in and Lashley gets rid of some guys, and then Brock Lesnar gets rid of some guys, and then it was down to two? I think it would have been a better Elimination Chamber. Unfortunately, they had to call in the audible.
Yeah, exactly.
And with calling an audible, I will admit the star of the show for this particular Elimination Chamber was on the losing end because he had to be the scapegoat, and that was Austin Theory.
Yep.
Austin Theory was the scapegoat in this match. This was his opportunity to shine. He shined not the way he wanted to shine, but he shone because he played perfectly as a scared brat to Brock Lesnar's monster chasing him. And when he hit him in that, when he did when he got him the shot, when he got him on the bottom, I honestly started cheering for Austin a little bit. Part of me was like, yeah, Austin, do it.
Yeah.
You know, and I knew it wasn't going to happen because Austin's definitely not in that level yet. Um, I did enjoy that, and of course, it was like, you know, oh man, you just pissed off Brock Lesnar, and he knew it. And when he climbed the cage, he actually almost escaped the cage. That would have been
Yeah.
hilarious to me.
Would he have won?
No, that's the best part. It's not that type of cage. Would
Yeah,
he
it's
have
not
won
that
to?
it-
It was just escaping Brock. Would he have been counted out? Is the real question. Um,
I mean,
but the high spot of the night was the F5. What do you
yeah.
think?
Oh, definitely.
Did you cringe like I did?
I was like, ow.
It's like,
I'm like, it's like, you know what? That hurts.
oh
I
yeah,
don't care who
and
you are.
the way he landed. Obviously, he didn't land in the typical F5. Usually, when a person falls from an F5, they fall face first, right?
Yeah.
He landed on his feet. He landed on his feet, so his feet kind of broke the fall, but still, he fell what 15 feet high to steel, and
Yeah.
it was something that you saw coming. You were like, oh, I thought he was good. At first, I thought he was going to do a suplex. That was my first thought. I was like, oh crap! If he does a suplex, he's dead.
Yeah. No, both men are dead.
Right? I was like, dead. He didn't go with the suplex, thank goodness. Obviously, but I think there was a moment of, can I make the suplex happen? There was a moment where he hold on to him and it was like, yeah, even I can't pull this off. But he ends up doing the F5, got the win, and now we get champion versus champion.
Yep.
So going back to what I said in Royal Rumble, I don't need this match.
I don't either.
All right.
I mean,
don't need the match.
we've had it
We've had it numerous times.
numerous times. I don't know why, we need to have it again. It's starting to become like Randy Orton and John Cena, where if I ever see that match again, it will be too soon. I never want to see those two wrestle again. I have no interest. You cannot put anything on it to make me want to see that match.
But you don't think the champion versus champion element adds to the match now?
It does, but WWE tends to treat these things like, just props.
I agree to that.
They put more emphasis on Vince's golden egg being important than like their belts.
Well, they're not belts; they're titles.
Oh yeah.
I say this match needed it. It needed
yeah.
It needed it because, again, the reason why tickets were not selling is like both you and I are saying we don't need this match, and I think the fans were saying we don't need this match. Now that it's a champion versus champion unification type match, a la Hogan Ultimate Warrior. Now we're talking about, okay, now there's big money being put at stake here. The question is, will they truly unify the title? And for me, if they unify the title, are they going to erase one of the titles? And if so, which title would they erase?
Well, I guess I think probably the Universal one, because it's always been, again, you're the WWE champion. It's always going to be about that WWE brand being above that. And so I see the Universal one being erased if they do it. But the thing is, number one, does whoever wins this want to work both shows?
I think whoever wins it's going to have to work both shows.
No, they have to. But do you think any? So it's kind of like, oh crap! I'm now the world champion. I got to work both an extra day. And I think but I can also see them pulling shenanigans to split the titles.
That's what I see is going to happen.
Like they did with Becky.
I think that's what's going to end up happening. I think what's going to end up happening is The titles are going to remain intact. My opinion is that Roman is going to come out on top.
I think so too.
I think Roman's going to come out on top because I think they have hope in getting the Rock's match happening.
Yeah, I mean
If it's
that
going to happen, it has to happen by next year. It has to. Now,
them in Hollywood.
yeah.
Most likely,
However,
Rock's going in the Hall of Fame next year.
yeah. However, the problem I have is Rock's not the guy to take the title.
No.
Right? So if that's the case, who is the guy to take the title? The hope was going to be Big E, to be quite honest.
That's who I had pegged.
I would have had Big E. I could still have a place for Drew to do it. I thought they were going to go that route, and I think again it's one of those situations where they put themselves in a corner that they so love doing apparently. I think whoever is going to take that title away from Roman has to be a big deal, and it could be Bobby. It could be Bobby. Bobby could be the guy. I think Bobby has some, some bound. It could be Seth Rollins. I think with the match in Royal Rumble being how it ended, I think Seth has a good place to being that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want that? I don't know if we want that. Only time will tell. But
here also is their other problem.
Mhm.
All this stuff has to happen at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So we know. Okay, so if Roman beats Rock, say at 39, that's another year of Roman as the champion, and we are waiting until WrestleMania of next year for, say, Big E to get it, even though we want Big E to win it now.
He's supposed to win it now.
Yeah, I mean,
they don't have the ability to hold on to a feud the way they should.
Yeah,
and that's part of the problem.
They don't know how to pace it. They don't know, and
no, they just don't have that capability. And I saw the comment that came up. That one comment. I'm going to pull it up again, where it's like Roman Reigns will lose at Radium 30. He thinks, and will face Rock at 39, but I don't think it'll be for the title. I honestly don't believe a Roman Reigns Rock match would be for the title, but
Right.
I think there's something in calling it a title match.
Definitely.
Right? Because the problem I see with Roman Reigns is that his first loss has to be a big deal. It has to be a big deal.
Yeah.
It's gone to the point that it's almost like who's going to beat the Undertaker.
Yes, exactly.
It's become that, right? And the problem is that what happened to the Undertaker feud streak? It was tainted by a win by Brock Lesnar, who did not need it, but it put him on a hot streak.
Oh, it definitely. Well, I actually think at that time Brock needed it because what was happening with him? He was coming back, and I think he was like.
But he didn't need it.
50 at that time, because they had made the genius decision to have John Cena beat him in his first match.
Yeah.
And their whole story was that John Cena was going through the Rocky 3 thing. So it was like, oh, so John Cena already feels he's losing his edge. Then he comes back and he beats Brock Lesnar, the guy after losing to Rock, and Brock Lesnar, the guy who finished Rock off as a regular wrestler. You need to check your storytelling. I mean, like that, Oh, I disagree with this one with Randy Orton. No.
I think Randy Orton's days are numbered. I think they're done.
I think yeah.
Randy Orton's he'll get title matches. And if he gets a title match, he's still young enough that he could get a victory. But Randy Orton is now I would call Randy Orton your transitional champion of the time being. So if he gets another title run, he will get it because I think he's going to be the guy to break the record.
Yeah.
I think he's been given that access to break the record.
It's either gonna
So
be him or Cena.
yeah, it's not going to be Cena. I think Cena's done. Um, you know, just like we have this particular Randy is not done. He has yeah, I think Randy does have another 10 years in him.
But
But I don't see him in that main event level as he used to be. I think
I'm with you. It's more of the same with him. I mean, and it's like I'm tired of him as champion. I'm tired of him I mean I like the stuff with Riddle because I mean it's like that's at least
it's fun.
giving him a new coat of paint. But in the end, it's like I've seen everything with him, and I don't think really there's any new dimension to add.
I agree. I think unless he finds a new version of himself, which I strongly don't think exists,
Yeah.
I think he will stick to the world of I'm just gonna be here to get the next guy over. I'm here to get this guy over. I think that's what he's doing with Riddle. Could Riddle be the guy?
Maybe they seem to be behind him, and it
But
sounds.
he needs to drop the dude gimmick.
I mean,
That's-
I don't think they're ever going to do that because I mean, I think Vince gets a kick out of it, and
But what I mean about the dude gimmick needs to be dropped because he's like
a
a light version of Rob Van Dam.
Yeah.
Right. But with Rob Van Dam, he had the ability to, I guess, be more serious with it. Right. He was still laid back. Don't get me wrong. He was still, but now with Riddle, he seems to be more. He's more comical. He's going towards comical.
Oh no, it's definitely like Vince sees him as Cheech and Chong type thing,
And it's I think that's a bad thing, but Riddle does have the chops to be that guy.
Yeah.
He has the chops to be that guy. He has the look. He has the ability to become that person. Can he be a role model figure? That you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so that's what you need someone that's going to be a role model figure. That's where Biggie, that's where Drew McIntyre come in. Those two guys are your role model figures.
Yeah, I mean,
Big E's title run was cut short. It was not given the ability to be strong. I don't even know how many wins he had as a champion, and that's sad. But and he wasn't even showcased here. There was no New Day here in any capacity, right? Which is sad to say the least.
Well,
so
maybe they didn't want to go, so
it's a possibility, but I don't know about that because they were in the other shows.
Yeah.
I could see that with Kevin Owens and stuff like that. But I honestly think that could it be Kevin? It's hard to tell. It's like there's guys there who have the potential, but there's something about them that doesn't have that draw capability. It took a long time for Roman to get there. Very long time for Roman to get there.
Well, we won't rehash like the whole Roman escapades. With how they try to get him over. But the thing is, the problem is we've seen all these guys lose in ways that are, dominant.
Mm-hmm.
We need someone to come in and be like, a tank, like a Goldberg, not exactly, but someone who you're going to go, oh, he not only to go, oh, not only did he beat did he beat Roman, who's going to beat this guy?
Yeah.
And there's no like way to do, you don't have that mystique where it's just like, oh God, who's going to stop, I mean, like when Hogan became champion, it was like, who's going to stop Hogan? Mm-hmm. Or what they did actually in WCW when he went into the NWO, it was like, who is going to stop him?
It ended up being Goldberg.
It really ended up being Goldberg. They botched it with Sting. And, I mean, it was supposed to be Sting.
It should have been Sting, but they never had what they ended up happening is they had a journey, but they never had the second chapter to that journey, right? So they always say the sequel's bigger and better, but they also said the sequel's never as good as the original. Sometimes,
Well,
most of the time, right? So that's what happened with Sting, is that they had this huge build up to a par match, to say the least. I think that match in particular was tainted by the whole Bret Hart edition of it all, right?
they,
So they screwed up the match.
but the whole fast count thing, that wasn't a fast count, killed it. Sting should have come out there and been like Undertaker almost, you know, in terms of like, his dominance, and then like, when they had Sting beating his chest finally after Bret Hart restarted the match, everybody liked that. And they should have had it be like, Sting, matching up with Hogan. And but apparently he wasn't tan enough. Of course, when you're at the same time, like when you're lurking around the ring, like the rafters, I don't think you're tanning, and but once again, I think Hogan for some reason nixed it, didn't want to lose his power. Hogan didn't even consider the redemption arc, for him. Where finally, like, but it would have involved him losing. It would have involved probably him next losing to Bret Hart, and then maybe Hall and Nash kicking him out of the NWO, saying, "You're done, old man."
Well, that's what they did. That's what they did when they showed up in WWE.
Yeah,
that particular arc worked in that way,
and everybody loved it.
It worked. It got Hogan back to being the yellow and red, and it worked. It even got him a title. He ended up getting a title run off of it. It wasn't a major title run, but he got a title run, to say the least. That says a lot. But at the same time, what it ended up doing, it ended up killing NWO, which I think at that point was a dying breed anyway. It was dead. It was dead long before that. It was just something to do it.
They liked seeing them back in WWE. I think that's the thing. They liked seeing them in WWE, but then it was kind of like, all right, we've done this, we've sold our shirts,
Yeah, and we got what we needed out of it. We milked it for what it was worth, and things like that. And we got matches off of it that we wanted to see. I still love the SummerSlam, Michaels versus Hogan. I love watching that match. Because we all knew what was going on there, right? But it was awesome seeing it and stuff like that, and just seeing Shawn just being ridiculous.
I mean, I had my friends over. They all came over because they wanted to see that match. Oh boy! No, let me tell you something. So they didn't even want to watch the whole show, because what was the first thing they saw after it at the show? Rey Mysterio versus Eddie Guerrero, which is a match that anybody should see. Okay, and it's going to be great. But what was it? Custody papers. Custody paper ladder match. And for guys that don't watch wrestling, they're like, what? They're like, you watch this? And I'm like, guys,
it's a soap opera.
Yeah, and I'm like, and they just couldn't get past it. Then they saw Eugene and Kurt Angle. And I won't repeat the words that were said because they're, this is a family show. But they were like, so the Olympic gold medalist is wrestling a guy who's pretending to be, mentally
ill.
And it's like, what? They're like, and I'm sitting there with my hand in my face going, yeah. I mean, there was stuff on there that that I'm like, that I was like, complete. I'm like, yeah, this is like makes you embarrassed to be a wrestling fan, because you have to explain this to normal people. That we switched it off until like I guess the Batista match, because everybody was just like, oh, that guy's on the juice.
Yeah, Batista was big back then.
And so it was just like, all right, we got a big guy that's on the juice, and then like but that's how I remember that SummerSlam is like I showed this stuff to people that wanted to see a match, and WWE didn't realize that no, their antics and what they think is is going to draw a mainstream audience really doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
A wrestling match over custody of a kid.
Well, there was, you know what? I get that was was that the final match of the series? I don't remember.
I think it was. But I mean, you could have done a ladder match, but But people aren't going to get past that it's for custody of a kid, and it's like, wait, so where's the law in this? You
Yeah,
know, because
yeah,
wrestling.
obvious.
I'm sorry, but wrestling is not an alternate universe type deal, but it is. The alternate universe is that what's happening is a sport.
Mm-hmm.
It is that what's happening is guys trying to beat each other and win for whatever reason. It is not a place where, or to settle some scores, but it's not a place where you can have like attempted murder happen. And you're gonna end it in a wrestling match or on like Impact, an actual murder. They
Oh
killed Law
no,
Valley, literally.
Rakishi's responsible for almost killing Stone Cold.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
It exists. It
Well, I
happened.
mean, we were supposed to be getting the mystery of who killed Mr. McMahon.
Oh man, that was.
Well, unfortunately, it's for the best that was dropped in more ways than one.
Well, it was forced to be dropped, unfortunately, for worse reasons. But
Yeah.
I remember seeing that. I remember watching that particular match in particular. Not match. I remember watching that episode and seeing it like, what just happened? You know what I mean? Like, did they just? And they never even tried to make it seem like he escaped in some way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Obviously, they dropped it because of what happened with Benoit.
Yeah.
Happened a few weeks later, but I remember who killed Mr. McMahon. We got the
I'm like,
story.
and how is this going to end? I'm like, so was like Triple H going to wrestle the guy who
Yeah.
tried to kill his father-in-law? It's like, you're not gonna call. He's not being arrested,
But that was the end. That was pretty much, dare I say it, that was the end of the Attitude Era. That moment right there caused the Attitude Era and its hijinks and all its ridiculousness that came with it. That was the moment that the Attitude Era was being killed. They didn't know they were killing it, right? They didn't know it.
Ruthless aggression. I think
it is part of ruthless aggression, but I want to say ruthless aggression was 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 uh was the child of Attitude Era.
yeah, it was.
It was the child of Attitude Era, but with ruthless aggression, it morphed into PG era.
Yeah,
right.
I would say that.
But but Attitude Era was still lurking. It was still there. So the hijinks of Attitude Era still existed at that particular time, though it was dying. That was the moment it died. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was like when that was when WWE I think really jumped the shark.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
for those of you who don't know, that reference comes from Happy Days.
Yep.
Let's end the stream now. But you and I, we could keep talking and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So hold on for a minute. I'm gonna just put you to the side, Todd, so I could get to some final things before it's over.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. So there you have it. There's your Elimination Chamber results. We hope you enjoyed the show as we enjoyed doing and talking about this. Again, by all means, go ahead, like and support the channel, subscribe to the channel. There are a few things I want to go over with you guys before I call it a day. I do want to make sure everyone knows that we have an interview scheduled for Monday with Darren Alex Moore. I'm looking forward to that one. Looking forward to talking to Alex, as well as on March 5th, I will be in the Bronx Comic Book Show. It is free admission. March 5th, come to 478 East Tremont. We're going to be spending some time there. There'll be some vendors, some comic book. I'll be there giving out stickers. I'll have a few things to give out as well. I'll be talking to a few people there, so look out for that one. And finally, just announced, we just finished doing Elimination Chamber. So now it's AEW's turn. On March 6th, we will do the reactions, results, and review show for Revolution. I am so looking forward to this one. So be on the lookout for March 6th. This is gonna be one of our late night shows. So by all means, do that. And last but certainly not least, I want to give props to my comic book shop, Squiggy's Dugout. They got comics, they got issues, and again, they have their great comic book sale going on. Ends on February 28th. Get your comic books for $1. Indie titles, collectors, graphic novel, BOGOs. Go for it. If you're ever in New Rochelle, that's the place to go. And just support comic books in general, guys. We love comic books. I love comics. I love talking about comic books and so forth. So don't forget to support the channel. Everything counts. And again, you can support the channel by going in and scanning the barcodes, which I have here. So if you scan those barcodes, those QR codes, you have a Patreon and you have a GoFundMe, and you can support the channel there. With that said, I am calling this Elimination Chamber over. And next time we'll see you will be on Monday. Take care, and thank you for being part of the Izzyverse. Take care, guys.